lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. Just remember.
And I've got to get fit for
After a caution-free season opener last week, we come now to Music City for the round number 2 of the CleanRacing.net Season 12. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Nashville Superspeedway. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you, joined with me by my partner in crime, the man, the myth, the living legend himself, Father Frank Marchese.
How you doing, Tony? First time being back here in this series in quite some time. I believe it was the Season 9 finale.
I believe it was, yes. Yes.
Yes, it's been quite some time.
Absolutely. And speaking of Season 9, that was the last time these guys were here at the Nashville Superspeedway for round number 3 of that season. Currently, Joey Stiers is undefeated here at Nashville. Who can knock him off this week? Can anybody knock him off tonight? That's the big question that remains, as Joey is back with us tonight. So there's the opening salve. Well, let's take a quick look at the point standings after one race. Jason Higginbottom leading the charge right now at 49 points, 6 points to the good over Adam Duff. Evan Kinney, Greg Barnett, Stephen Tuck rounding out your top 5. Defending series champion Josh Lilly mired back in 8th right now after not having as good of a run as he was hoping for at Chicagoland.
Yeah, no, and it's still very early days in the season. I know after today we're technically a fifth of the way through the season, but still very early days. A lot of chances to make up points, especially here tonight. Lilly right now showing up in the top 10 on timing and scoring right now in 7th. So he might have a good truck tonight. He might be able to make up some of those points that he missed out on at Chicago last week.
Can only hope. And I know that household is looking for possibly a 1-2 finish here, as both those trucks have been quite strong during the hot lap session. They've been strong in the past when we've come here. But right now, we are going to... and I just lost my... There it is. I was just looking for my pointer dealie. As we are going to watch some of the hot lap session as it's currently going on right now. Nate Brown currently sitting at the top of the pile. Parker Collins, Joey Stiers, Darren Staff, and Adam Duff rounding out your top 5 here in the warm-up. Only about a minute and a half left, so if you got to use a little driver's room, I would suggest doing so now. And if you haven't done so already, hit this thumbs up on this video. Let us know you like what you're seeing, because the more thumbs up a video gets, the more likely it is to be shared on someone's YouTube homepage when they log in of, hey, you might like this. And if you haven't done so already, we are less than 40 subscribers away from hitting the magic 2,500 mark. Can you believe it, Frank?
We've come quite a long way since I first started here.
We've come a long way since I first started here. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. I never thought that was going to happen, and here we are still chugging away at it, and adding more and more races and leagues to the family of broadcasts. It seems like every day we're getting requests for new leagues to get broadcasted by the Esports Broadcasting Network and Sim Racing Media, our parent company.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a wonder. I think it's been right around maybe a little bit more, a little less than 3 years since I've been here, and the growth that we've seen over that time has been absolutely incredible. I think it was maybe a week or so after I first got here, we had hit 1,000 subs, and now we're almost at 2,500. It seems absolutely incredible to think of. But Tony, it looks like practice is ending. About to get to qualifying here in the not-so-distant future.
That it is. There's only a couple trucks left out on track. Pretty decent-sized field. I'm showing 28 haulers in the infield tonight. Oi! Jacob Grant just hand-grenaded one coming through 3 and 4. As we click on over to the qualifying session... let me just make sure I've got qualifying mode turned on. And let's see who's going to be the first one to roll it. Looks like Parker Collins.
Adam Duff on track, Parker Collins, Darren Staff on track, Dustin Harrell, Stephen Tuck, Kevin Hayes, all out on track right now. Duff, I think, is going to be the first one, and that's number 28, to take a flying lap.
It absolutely does. Duff had led quite a few laps last week in his debut with this league. Again, from the Great White North, rocking the Philadelphia Flyers paint scheme. Can't really fault him for that.
You're a Sabres fan, I'm an Islander fan. Why can't we fault him for that?
Because my Sabres finished in front of his Flyers this past season.
I think everyone finished in front of the Flyers this year, didn't they?
Just about.
This comes across the line to set the first time. Duff, a 30-70 pole position at the moment.
Absolutely. That was a heck of a lap there, as we are still waiting for some of the rest of them to click off. Kevin Hayes bumps him off with a 30-30.
Josh Lilly crossing the line right now. 30-80 for Josh Lilly. Ryan Lewis, Stephen Tuck, James LaRoque.
Absolutely, as we are still waiting for some of the heavier hitters to come out on track. Let's take a look at a guy that actually had a bad time of it last week, and I just lost him. Where is he? There he is. The 8 of Mike McCrae actually got penalized after last week's race.
Josh Lilly to the point, as you were mentioning, now to 30.25. We'll see what McCrae can do right now. McCrae on his first lap goes 18th quickest, but again, just the first lap.
Absolutely.
30.86 on lap number 1 for the 8. Oh, and he's not going to get a lap 2 now.
He is not. As the man who went quick time in the practice session, Nate Brown in the 69, comes across for his first lap, 19th quick.
It takes a minute to get these cars up to full song here. Now, it's not a super speedway in the traditional super speedway meaning. These corners are incredibly difficult to get into and through. There's a bump in the middle of 3 and 4. I think the 69 of Brown just went through it. That really upsets one of the Cup cars, and you can definitely feel it in these trucks. Not nearly as bad as Brown goes to the top, but turn 1 can be very difficult to get into, especially as these tires wear on tonight.
As we are going to follow along with Joey Stiers, looking for 3 in a row here at the Nashville Superspeedway as he comes down the back chute for his second lap. Only went 22nd quick on the first flyer. Let's see what lap 2 is going to bring for the 23.
Jason Higginbottom right behind him as well.
Your current points leader.
Stiers P1, Higginbottom P4.
Absolutely. And that's not a good thing for the rest of the field with Joey Stiers and Joshua Lilly starting stem to stern.
It's not going to be ideal, certainly, as Jacob Grant halfway through his second flyer. Scott Wissett, Jeremy Moore, Frederick Garcia, and Brian Tiffany, the only drivers that have not yet set a time here in this qualifying session.
As we are watching Grant come around for his second across the stripe.
Ooh!
Nice.
Big time, 31.9.
He took a major swing at that one.
Absolutely, and that's... Now, when we've seen these guys resetting the fastest lap, it's been, about 100th of a second, it's been maybe a couple thousandths. That was a full half a tenth that Grant took out, and that may not sound like a lot, but compared to what we've seen jumping up the ladder, that was a big, big chunk that he took out of that pole.
Absolutely. Half a tenth is with these trucks at these speeds, half a tenth actually equates to right around crap. Go ahead and fill, Frank, because I need to restart my SDK.
10-4. It looks like... Oh, no, we're gridding now.
Yes, we are.
So we will go now to the starting grid here for tonight's race. Jacob Grant will start on pole with a time of a 30.186. Joey Stiers will start on the outside of row 1. Nathan Brown and Josh Lilly will make up row 2. Jason Higginbottom and Parker Collins will sit in row 3. Row 4 goes to Dylan Grimm and Darren Staff. Row 5 will see Kenneth Pack and Rye Lewis. Row 6 will go to Kevin Hayes and Daniel Sykes, with row 7 seeing Lane Hostler and Austin Carey. Row 8 goes to Kevin Becker and Chris Smith. Row 9 will see John Anthony and Stephen Tuck. Row 10 goes to Greg Barnett and Dustin Harrell. Row 11 will go to James LaRoque and Adam Duff. Row 12 will go to Mike McCrate and Casey Powell. Jeremy Moore and Brian Tiffany will start in row 13. Row 14 goes to Scott Wissett and Frederick Garcia. Moore, Tiffany, Wissett, and Garcia not putting down qualifying times and are ordered on the grid via iRating.
So 120 laps of scheduled distance here tonight. No stages this season for the CleanRacing.net Truck Series. So let the games begin. It looks like we have a full field on the grid, just waiting on Jeremy Moore to grid up. in the 24. As there we go. There's a good view of the field. But Frank, I'm real excited about this one. These guys always put on amazing shows no matter what track we end up going to. As start to roll it behind the pace car. As once again, Jacob Grant going to be starting up on the front row, but Stiers and Lilly still starting nose to tail. That is going to be a rough one for the rest of the field if they can stay hooked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, again, with it not being a super speedway in the traditional super speedway sense, drafting is not going to be a real valuable thing here. You are still going to have to work and manage your tires. It is, however, going to be incredibly difficult to pass around here, especially on the inside line as the tires go on. You want the middle to the outside, and you want to be able to make that run.
As the field works its way off the turn 4 complex, pace car getting ready to duck on off. The other thing is left to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some barbecue because it's time to get it on in Music City. Race fans, it's showtime! So we got some beating and banging going on already, Frank.
Yep, it's going to be really close here, especially at the start of this race as Kenneth Pack on the inside. Jacob Grant gets out free and clear here at the start of this at least, but Joey Stiers is right there as Parker Collins looks to the inside of Josh Lilly and takes the spot.
Collins in that Z-Line Toyota trying to make something happen as he's working the inside of Lilly now, coming through the tri-oval. Grant going to lead the first lap. Stiers, Lilly, Collins, and Darren Staff round out your top 5 as we currently sit. Towards the mid-pack, though, Dan Sykes and Kenneth Pack going after each other.
Yeah, Kenneth Pack went way up the hill in 1 and 2, probably dove it in a little bit too hard there as that Red Bull machine, I believe that's Austin Carey. No, it's not Austin Carey in the 22.
That's Austin Carey in the double deuce.
It's the 85 of I was looking at the Red Bull 85 of Kevin Becker.
Yep.
My bad. 22 in the middle.
3 wide. It's Carey in the middle, finally backing out of it as the 51 of Hayes works his inside. Meanwhile, up towards the front of this piece, Lilly and Staff are going after each other now.
Staff trying to hold it around that outside, and that's where you're going to be able to make the move stick. If you want to defend, you need the outside line around here, and there's a reason why these guys are being so aggressive, especially in the midfield. You're going to make up positions. It's going to have to be early in the run when you can use both lines.
You very much are going to have to use both lines. As Lane Hosler, who was not at Chicagoland last week, already starting to make some headway. Currently sitting in the number 14 spot as he's working on Carey right now in the double deuce.
61, kind of hovering around where he started, looking to start heading back forward. This is a place where, again, I know I'm pounding on it, but you need to save your tires here. Falling back early in the race is not a bad thing because if you have the pace, you know how to get into and through these corners, you'll be able to march your way right back up through the field as everyone else runs theirs out.
Well, Dylan Grimm falling back right now as he's -4. Biggest mover in the wrong direction currently as the 51 of Hayes working his inside right now. He was in vast danger of getting freight trained there as now here comes the 12 of Kenneth Pack to try to work his outside. Everybody's starting to calm down a little bit. Back towards the mid-pack, though, Greg Barnett is going after Austin Carey.
Got that 38 really making a move. Nathan Brown finally makes the move stick for 5th, so now that issue's been sorted out. As Carey not willing to give it up on that outside line. Dylan Grimm also coming under fire from Kenneth Pack as he looks to the back of Kevin Hayes in the 51.
And, Frank, the last time I was here at this track, something I saw that we normally don't see it being effective, guys were taking 2 tires and it was working. And that new tire and aero model really, it brings a 2-tire stop back into the equation as a viable option.
As a viable option, but I would say for a short run, if you want to try to maybe figure out what it's going to do earlier on in the race, that's fine as well. But I think, especially around a track like this where you need that turn-in ability and to be able to roll through the center of the corner like you have to here at Nashville, that's something I would save in my back pocket a little bit more for if we have a pit stop with, say, 15 or 20 to go.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would consider doing in a late race situation. Especially if we get a repeat of last week and don't see that dreaded colored flag that we don't like seeing. It's a viable option if you've got to come in for a splash and dash. Take 2, free the truck up just a tick, and try to make something happen. As right now we're watching Dan Sykes and Ry Lewis going after each other. Lewis is Toyota and Sykes is Ford. And it's kind of refreshing to see, Frank. It's not just a Chevy-heavy field. There's actually more Fords and Toyotas than Chevys in this field, which is it's refreshing to see that.
6 Toyotas in the top 10 right now, 2 Chevys and 2 Fords. So it's quite a mixed bag field. And you're right, it is nice to see all 3 work their way up. Right now, Jacob Grant, leading the race. The leading Toyota, Joey Stiers, the leading Chevrolet, and Daniel Sykes in the 66, running in 9th, your leading Ford.
There is Grant, there's Stiers, and there is Sykes, kind of mired in traffic right now, just biding his time, because we know Sykes is a late run specialist. If there's anybody that know how to save tires for the long run, 2 names that come to mind: Dan Sykes and Lane Holsler.
Joey Stiers has had an issue up at the front. He's falling back. He's got damage on the left side of that truck.
And yellow comes out.
Parker Collins and Josh Lilly have gotten around him. Boy, and that precaution could not have come out at a better time, because I think Ry Lewis is going to be the cause of this one.
That's what it looks like. As we're going to watch. Keep your eye on the 20. There you see Stiers getting it wrong as Lewis just goes onto the apron. And that's the reason. But let's go back and take a look at what happened with Stiers as that was kicking off. There you see Stiers with the 18 of Collins to his inside, and Collins just goes up into him, going into 1.
And that's just a product of it being really difficult to pass around here. I'm not sure what in the world happened with Ry Lewis, but again, with how difficult it is to pass around here, it does create a little bit of desperation, and with how accurate you have to be in turns 1 and 2, I'm not surprised that happened as both Collins and Stiers come into pit road here.
We're on board with Lewis here, coming through the tri-oval. Oh, okay. He saw the smoke, jammed on the binders, and had way, way, way too much rear brake bias dialed into it. And the back end just washed on him as soon as he touched the brake pedal.
That's a long ways ahead for him to have a reaction like that, and that's what's going to end up causing the caution.
So we got a bunch of takers going down pit road. Jacob Grant, Josh Lilly, Darren Staff, Jason Higginbottom, Dan Sykes, Dylan Grime, Chris Smith, and Adam Duff all electing to stay out. Kevin Hayes wins the battle off pit road. Looks like fuel only. And Frank, if I could have you check to see how many sets of tires these guys have to get them through this event, I forgot to look.
That would be 4 sets of tires these guys have.
Oh, there you go then. So
and it was fuel only for Kevin Hayes in the 51. Fuel only for the 61 of Lane Hostler as well, coming off of pit road.
As field starting to form back up. Looks like the first one to actually take 4 in fuel was Nate Brown.
Josh Lilly in.
A little bit of strategery from the 48.
That's interesting. Pitting out of second, the lap after everyone comes in on a track that's difficult to pass at.
He's hoping this stays green for an extended period of time. He's hoping to pack that thing full of as much fuel as he can possibly get.
Make that now the top 7 are the only drivers that didn't pit. So Grant, Staff, Higginbottom, Sykes, Grimm, Smith, and Duffy, the only drivers that did not come down pit road under this caution on lap 12.
As we should get a restart on laps to start lap 17, as we are under the first caution for a one-car incident, including Ry Lewis. Joey Steyer spent an extended period of time trying to get those fender wells pulled back out away from the tires so he doesn't cut one down when we go back to speed here. But Steyer's mired back in 19th. Josh Lilly pit from second. He drops down to 25th. Jeremy Moore in the 24 has left the building. He did not take the green, so he's going to be relegated back to 28th. The other 27 trucks that did start the event are still running.
From what I could see, Moore is still here. He's still in the session. He just has not. He has not started the race yet. Joey Steyer's back into pit road. Parker Collins at the back of the field after he came back down pit road again. Casey Powell back there. Josh Lilly at 24th. So 24th, 25th, and 27th now, where you'll find Lilly, Collins, and Steyer's.
Which is interesting. I mean, Collins and Steyer's, each one had to fix a side of their truck, but it's an interesting strategy call from Lilly. Let's see if it's going to pay out for him. Current biggest mover is the 28 of Duff. There you see him. As, again, couldn't have a better debut race with the CleanRacing.net Monday Night Truck Series. Season 12, round number 2 here from Nashville Superspeedway. Tony Trapasso and Frank Marchese up in the booth with you for this one. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evening as we get ready to turn them back loose. Pace car makes that hard left turn. Grant has the button from the low side as they enter the Geico restart zone. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. Grant pulls the trigger and we are back underway.
Grant, a very good restart out of that restart zone. Staff also a very good start for him in the 59, trying to take over that second spot while he can. Going to be interested to see how long it takes these guys on new tires to work their way back up through these guys in the top 7.
Well, with Staff and Higginbottom going door to door right now, that's not going to be the most advantageous thing. As so far, the guys that didn't pit at all are holding their own, as Nate Brown still hasn't made any headway yet. But Jacob Grant is already out to almost a full second to the good, as Higginbottom, Staff, and Sykes throw a blanket over second through 10th.
First car on new tires is the 61. Hosler didn't take tires.
69 of Brown.
Yeah, the 69 of Brown running in 10th right now. The first car on new tires, working his way forward already. Looking towards the back, Josh Lilly started 24th on this restart. He's already up to 22nd. Steyer's 27th. He's up to 21st. And the 18 of Parker Collins right there as well. They're running 20th, 21st, and 22nd right now are those three.
And add the 20 of Ry Lewis to the mix. And that's everybody that basically was involved in that first caution, as Lane Hosler in the 61 making some headway now as he just got by Dan Sykes. Now sets his sights on trying to reel in Dylan Grimm, as the battle between Staff and Higginbottom has finally settled out as Duff and Smith go door to door. And now they're 3 wide.
Yep, Kevin Hayes right there as well in the 51. And Hayes is going to take the spot away from the 69 of Brown. Brown kind of stuck up there behind the 28. Couldn't use those tires, and you saw the run he got through the center of the corner, had to back right off to not run into the back of the 28.
He absolutely did, as still your biggest mover is that 28 of Duff. As now Brown and Hayes go door to door again down the back straightaway. And Brown is going to have an opening when they get to turn 3.
Brown, especially on those fresher tires, he's going to be able to get into these corners, especially turn 1, a lot better than anybody in front of him. It's about finding the lane to be able to take that run he gets through the center of the corner, as now the 51 of Hayes not ready to let it go completely yet.
Hayes pinches him down, but he doesn't squeeze too hard because he knows that Brown has the fresh shoes.
Stuff on the outside. The 51 of Hayes was looking going into 1.
I'm sorry.
Now Hayes having to worry about carry as he tries to put the attack on Duff.
He does have to worry a little bit. Carey not overly aggressive in the early going. Oh, boy.
Somebody was in the grass there. Josh Lilly was in the grass for a moment, straightened it back out. Got back on track, though.
Let's go back and take a quick look at what happened to Lilly. Here you see him up the middle there as they come off of turn number 4. Oh! Yeah, the 38 of Barnett went down into him, and you can see the damage on the right front fender of Lilly's Chevy.
Almost as if Barnett was trying to pull that truck off the wall, as if he thought he maybe either got into it or got too close to it. Didn't realize that the 48 was there.
As we're back live with Carey working on Duff right now. Carey on the fresh shoes makes it look just that simple going into turn number 3, as I believe that was Rye Lewis on the extreme high line coming through 3 and 4.
That is Rye Lewis in the 20 on the outside there behind the 00 of John Anthony. Anthony working his way up through the field nicely in that tied ride. However, he's got probably 2 of the faster trucks to his inside right now.
Yeah, he absolutely does, as that's the 18 of Collins and the 23 of Joey Stiers. I'm not saying Stiers can't get his 3rd consecutive victory here at Nashville, but...
Oh, wow, the 18 through the middle, 3 wide. What a run.
Good grief.
Wow, what a move.
I think I just broke the arm on my wheelchair again. I was white-knuckled for him.
Stiers had absolutely no way to get through it because the hole had closed.
Oh, my goodness. What are we watching?
What an incredible run from him.
Some of the best you're ever going to find in the iRacing servers are here every Monday night.
Absolutely. 85 of Kevin Becker trying to put pressure on the 66 of Daniel Sykes.
As just checking in with the live chat right now. Quantum, thank you so much for your kind words. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So right now, Jacob Grant, almost a second and a half to the good over Darren Staff. There you see Staff and Higginbottom still going after each other. Toyota and Toyota crime right now.
They haven't let each other go, really. It's one maybe stays behind for a lap, and then they go side by side for a good 2 or 3, and then they're right back on it.
They absolutely have. And the biggest thing to keep in mind right now, your top 4 have not been down pit road yet.
In any capacity.
Yeah, right. But Nate Brown, with those fresh shoes in the 69, currently sits in 5th, but I'm thinking the tires maybe are starting to equalize between the haves and the have-nots right now. The biggest advantage is going to be those guys that stopped late for fuel and they were able to pack it full. Speaking of which, here comes Lane Hosler and Austin Carey going after each other.
Nathan Brown only running about a 10th quicker than the guys in front. Once again, 3 wide Adam Duff in the middle in the 28, the 14 on the outside, Steyer's on the bottom. And Steyer's taking the shorter way around, coasting the truck a little bit more, is going to be able to get through. Now here comes Rye Lewis looking to make it 3 wide again, and will.
Oy.
Big block by Steyer's as well on Duff.
Yeah, Duff, another one of those ones that hasn't been down pit road yet, but he might be second-guessing that decision, as we've already got 30 in the books here. And battling in the mid-pack is just intense right now, as here we go 3 wide again, as that's Chris Smith, Josh Lilly, as they go side by side. Ryan Lewis was able to get a little bit better run off of turn number 3, but Lilly has the door opened on Smith.
It's getting to that point in the run now where guys who have saved their tires better than somebody else are going to really start making their move forward. You're seeing guys running side by side and not being able to get away from each other for a good 3 or 4 laps. That's the tire advantage, or that's the track kind of equaling out that tire advantage that these guys have, as here comes Nathan Brown on Darren Staff.
Brown making a bid for the first step of the podium that he can get to. Boy.
Aggressive move by Staff and that Traxxas number 59.
And you can see just how unsettled that truck was coming through the tri-oval. He was almost up on 2 wheels getting back up onto the track.
And you were talking about Toyota power earlier on. The top 7 drivers all in Toyota Tundras.
That they are. As Graham works the inside of Staff now. Carey has gotten by both of them, though. So Nate Brown on fresh tires, Austin Carey on fresh tires. Then you got Parker Collins in the 18 coming up quick on fresh tires. And same goes for Joey Steyer's.
Dylan Grimm has saved his tires because he is now starting to work his way up. He hasn't come down pit road in any way, shape, or form here tonight either. Full fuel load for these guys, so it's not like they're running half a tank dry to begin with. So a solid run right now for Dylan Grimm, working as Parker Collins goes to the inside of Darren Staff, as Staff almost jumped out of the way.
Well, they are teammates for Rowdy Racing. As Josh Lilly puts Adam Duff under pressure now. And Steyer's and Staff go just like that. Staff is having problems. He has gotten up and out of the way of everybody as Hosler works his way past him now. Something is definitely not right with the 59.
I think part of the reason for Staff right now is that he's been running so aggressively with the 44, and he's been on the outside for most of it. Higginbottom's been on the bottom, rolling that truck, trying to keep it down on the line. And now not only has he, but Nathan Brown have closed Jacob Grant's gap of about 1.5 seconds. They've closed it down to 0.4 of a second up here. It's a 3-way duel for the lead.
It is at that, and it's about to be a 4-truck tango. Absolutely. Carey with a good head of steam. And Grimm's not that far behind either. So top 5, not a lot of separation. Not something we normally see here at Nashville. I mean, these guys are just putting on a clinic of how to get around this place tonight.
1.3 seconds the gap between first and second, and then there's a second gap between Parker Collins and Joey Steyer's battling for 6th right now, and that is about to be a battle as Steyer's trying to line up a good enough run to be able to get a look at going down into turn 1 next time around.
Well, he and Parker Collins were 2 of the faster trucks in the practice session.
Collins letting him go.
There we go. Probably feels bad for what he did to Joey earlier, just letting him go, and they'll race it hard at the end. The rest of the field pretty strung out. Higginbottom, though, under heavy pressure from Austin Carey right now.
He lost that second position to Nathan Brown, as you would have assumed he would have with Brown having fresher tires. but Darren's staff has fallen like a rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. My iRacing just locked up. We will be right back after this brief break.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Tonight's running of round number 2 of the CleanRacing.net Truck Series is brought to you by the Ringside Report podcast. For all of your combat sports news and information, check out the Ringside Report podcast. While Tony is continuing to get the broadcast back up, Nathan Brown has taken over the race lead. Jacob Grant now starting to fall back as Jason Higginbottom has gotten around him. Austin Carey now working on getting around Grant. Grant starting to slip backwards here as one of the guys who has not come down pit road here tonight.
Unfortunately not, and I think it's going to cost him. As you know, we've been able to see just how important fresh shoes are here tonight. As Grimm and Grant now go door to door. It's Grimm in the 7, Grant in the 45. As
Grant.
I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, as Trading Paints is re-updating for me.
Take a second.
There we go. And
Carey and Grant have just gotten very lucky because Grant hit the wall coming out of 4. Carey hit it going into 1. Both of them had their damage pop back out.
well, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Now, I will say Grant hit the wall out of 4 a little bit harder than Carey hit the wall going into 1. As now Dylan Grimm starting to work on Carey.
Grimm trying to get that splitter into the fresh air as he works the inside, gets a little bit better run than Carey coming off of turn number 2, which is impressive considering Carey has the fresher tires by 13 laps. But it just goes to show you how hard he's been running to get those spots.
Yep, saving tires, not running side by side. Dylan Grimm has pace. He started 7th in this race, now up to 3rd, well, battling for 3rd at least, and he's on the better line as far as tire conservation goes. However, the 22 is going to get a heck of a run coming off a 2 here. Maybe nose out. He certainly got even with him going into 3.
He has at that, and I mean, I've said it a couple of times already, but these guys are just flat putting on a clinic here tonight on how to run a mile. It was a mile and a quarter concrete jungle.
Yeah, just about a mile and a quarter. A mile and a third.
As
Carey,
Grimm and Carey still going after each other. And Jacob Grant looks like he may have cooled his tires off a little bit as he now gets a run going into 3, as working on his Falcon Tire teammate now, as Grimm does get the nose out front coming off of 4. Carey battles back, though, and they are still in a drag race down the front chute.
this is what I was talking about earlier on with how hard it is. As boy, that 22 of Carey really hit that wall going into turn 1. This is what I was talking about earlier on with the car, the truck in this case, making it very, very difficult to pass around this racetrack. You get caught side by side. Inside line has the advantage going into the corner. Outside line has the advantage getting out. Next thing you know, you're battling side by side with a guy for 5 or 6 laps until one of you makes a mistake. This time it was Carey.
It absolutely has. And now Carey has fallen back into the clutches of Joey Stiers and Lane Hosler. I'd like to point out, from Lane Hosler in 7th back to Adam Duff in 8th is a 2.5 second gap.
Also worth noting, one driver has come into pit. That's the 66 of Daniel Sykes. Now, the reason why that's important is Sykes was one of the guys that did not come into pit during the caution on lap 12. Jacob Grant now coming down pit road. So is Darren Staff. So drivers that did not pit under that caution period on lap 12 are starting to trickle in now.
As now Joey Stiers working the outside on Carey down the backstretch. Pretty even on the tire wear there, but they've got Lane Hosler, who is the king of saving tire, working the backside of both of them right now. And meanwhile, while they're battling, Dylan Grimm in 3rd is starting to stretch a little bit of a gap on them.
Yep, and that's the problem with running side by side here, is it takes so much letting off, coasting, trying to roll to be able to make something like that work. Now, while Lane Hosler makes this move here for the 5th position, getting around the outside of Austin Carey, then going to the inside of Joey Stiers down the back straightaway. Hosler did come into pit on lap 13, but took fuel only, so he has really managed those tires incredibly well.
And that's what we've come to expect out of the Hosler Fence and Concrete number 61. Like that truck is painted after, Mark Martin was another guy that knew how to save his equipment, and Lane Hosler showing that he absolutely picked the right paint scheme to model his career after.
Yep, absolutely. Is Jason Higginbottom, another one who didn't pit at all, staying right with Nathan Brown. So again, showing how hard Nathan Brown had to work his way through the field after coming into pit, and he took tires.
Yeah, Brown took tires. Higginbottom has not been down pit road yet, as they are quickly catching the man in the 94. That is Fred Garcia, getting ready to put him a lap down.
Boy, Nathan Brown moved right on over, and Higginbottom caught the wall out of 4.
Well, that was interesting. Let's go back and take a look at that.
No, there's really no reason for Brown, unless he's really trying to back off and save tire. There was really no reason for him to just straight get out of the way there.
He caught the apron, had a little bit of a wiggle going into 3, sense. And that's what allowed Higginbottom to get by him.
That makes more sense.
As we go back live, Higginbottom now shows the way. All-important bonus point for Higginbottom to lead. Brown sits in 2nd. Dylan Grimm a second, 1 3/4 seconds to the arrears of those two guys. Has a 2 1/4 good over Lane Hosler right now. And Joey Stiers is a 2nd back.
Casey Powell in the 9 coming in. Chris Smith in the 14 coming down pit road as well. Brian Tiffany in the 35 battling side by side with Scott Wyson.
Carey's back in.
There you go.
As there's Brian Tiffany working on Scott Wyson.
Yep, Carey coming in, as you had mentioned. Wyson up to 10th. Wyson did not qualify in this race, nor did Tiffany. So both of those guys moving up. Stephen Tuck in the 10, battling side by side with Kevin Hayes in the 51.
Both of those guys fuel only on lap 13. But the field's starting to get pretty strung out right now as we're starting to see green flag pit stops take place. And you got to wonder, how much longer can Higginbottom stay out?
It's not going to be too much longer, and we know if he's going to run that thing dry, number one, he's losing ground to the 45 of Grant, the 59 of Staff, the 66 of Sykes, the 22 of Carey. He's losing ground to them every single lap staying out. Higginbottom last time around did a 31.94. Compare that to Grant, who ran a second quicker at a 30.92. So he's losing about a second and a half a lap, a second a lap, but we'll know that the leaders are about 10 laps away from pitting when Higginbottom does come in, because he looks like he's planning on running that thing dry and one stopping here today.
Well, hats off to him as we are at the halfway mark, working lap 61 of 120 here, and it looks like that is the MO of Higginbottom. The only thing is, those caution laps, you can save 2 to 3 laps. He's got to stay out at least 4 more to make sure he can get to the natural finish of this piece.
Well, and we did have a caution in the first half of the race. So
right, that's what I mean.
That's also messing with his fuel numbers. And then, as you had mentioned, also the green-white checkered. So he's going to have to stay out. I wouldn't say about 4 or 5 laps. I'd say maybe 6 or 7 for him to ensure that he can make it to the checkered. And if we get a late race caution, that he can make a green-white checkered without coming in again.
You're absolutely correct there. As Greg Barnett and Kevin Becker going after each other. Barnett on the low side, Becker on the top side. Barnett had a heartbreaker last week at Chicagoland, was leading the race and actually got taken out by a lap truck.
Wyson getting passed by Stephen Tuck for the final spot in the top 10. Tiffany looking to jump back on him as Adam Duff closing the gap on the 23 of Joey Stiers for 5th.
He is at that, and Stiers is another one that came in for fresh tires, and Duff showed last week he knows how to save equipment as Higginbottom comes in.
Yep, Higginbottom in, so this is about it. 63 laps, he was able to make it.
Well, he should be able to make it to the natural finish of the race from here, but if we go into overtime, he might be in trouble.
So we know Nathan Brown is about 10 laps away. Dylan Grimm should be coming in any time now. Same with Adam Duff, as Joey Stiers running him down the track coming out of turn 2.
Stiers was a little bit loose, and they were both doing it. Grimm's in, and so is Duff.
So is Duff, yep.
So to reset, Nate Brown right now 3 1/4 seconds to the good over Lane Hosler. Hosler has a 2.5 second gap back to third place Joey Stiers. And Stiers is a second to the good over Rye Lewis. Josh Lilly is another 1.5 seconds back from him in 5th. As the battle really hot and heavy for 9th, 10th, and 11th right now, as that's Hayes, Tiffany, and Peck throw a blanket over them. And Wyson's there too.
Yeah, Wyson falling back to these guys. Wyson's driven a little bit too hard in the latter stages of this run, so that's 8th through 11th right there represented. Just momentarily with Kenneth Pack blinking.
And that's terrifying when you're running close to somebody like that, and all of a sudden you see the blinks start happening.
Jamie LaRoque and Mike McRae in. And fortunately for the 28, of Duff, he came out just ahead of this group So not having to worry about messing around and passing these guys as Kevin Hayes goes to the inside of Wyson.
Hayes on the low side, Wyson on the outside, and here comes the 12 of Pack, trying to shoot up through the gap in the middle. And here comes the 14 as well, although not on the lead lap. Chris Smith throwing his hat into the works.
Chris Smith came into pit back on lap 56 as we're looking 3 wide at the back, as that's the 66 of Daniel Sykes and the 9 of Casey Powell. Those two guys racing for position around these other guys who are also racing for their own positions.
And that's something you really got to be mindful of, especially under a green flag pit stop scenario, is you got to be mindful of who are you racing and who can you let go, because you don't really want to give up any ground to the person that you're battling for position with, but you don't want to leave that door so wide open, as Wyson and Tiffany now go door to door right behind that battle. There's tons going on right now in the mid-pack, and I'll be honest with you, Frank, it's kind of hard to keep up.
Yeah, it is. It's quite entertaining. Greg Barnett getting around Brian Tiffany in the 38. Now Barnett setting his sights on the 72 of Wyson. Nathan Brown still out in front of this race. Jacob Grant is going to be your effective race leader at this point. He's got 9.5 seconds over Jason Higginbottom, who's going to be effective second as Wyson bails out and comes down pit road.
Wyson takes it pit side. That's going to let Grant, and we know Grant has the short run speed. And Brown and we're expecting probably Lane Hosler to come in on the next lap, as he's going to get that bonus point for leading a lap. Stiers stays out as well, as does Rye Lewis and does Josh Lilly.
It's actually quite early. I would have expected them to come and stay out for another 5 or 6 laps from now even. Look at Stiers trying to get away from Rye Lewis, goes 3 wide, almost goes door to door with McRae in the 8. That opens the door for Rye Lewis to go into second position.
It does at that, as I didn't quite catch who that was that ate the wall.
Might have been the 22 of Carey who's right there.
No,
it was the one.
It was the one.
That John Deere machine behind them.
That's exactly who it was.
Thought I saw a 1 on the side of the truck. It's not the one. Kevin Hayes and Kevin
16
Becker
of
both
Dustin
in.
Harrell.
Yes.
Hayes and Becker both come pit side.
Oh. Harrell wanted to come down pit road there, but right as he was coming, Josh Lilly was coming too. And it was too late for him to turn and jerk the wheel hard left to get into pit road safely. He has to go around again.
As we check back in with Austin Carey and Adam Duff, as they're working their way around the 20 of Rye Lewis, who sits in second place right now. And they are fast approaching Lane Hosler. 59 catches the wall coming off of 4. That's Darren Staff, trying to get everything he can out of that truck right now.
Staff running in 14th. Effective race lead again as Greg Barnett comes down pit road in the 38. Jacob Grant just passed him for the 9th position. Still has 7.5 seconds, still has 6.5 seconds on Jason Higginbottom. Grant now running in 9th. Again, your effective race leader once pit stops completely cycle through.
As Rye Lewis and Josh Lilly both come pit side, Lane Hosler stays out.
Stephen Tucker, Parker Collins coming in. Kenneth Pack coming in. Brian Tiffany coming in. Hosler, Stiers, and John Anthony, the only 3 from that first round of pit stops in the caution.
And now Anthony's in.
Yep, those are the only 3, or were the only 3 to stay out. Now it's just Hosler and Stiers.
And you got to wonder which one of the 2 of them is going to be the first one to blink, as there is a 2-lap difference in the time that they were down pit road. So Stiers technically could stay out 2 laps longer than Hosler should be able to.
Hosler down on the bottom, down the back straightaway, typically a sign that he should be coming in this time.
And he is downshifting. Yep, here he comes.
Yep. Blows it way up. Joey Stiers, we'll see what he's going to do here. He looks like he's going to stay out. So Stiers will lead a lap.
Is across the stripe. Stiers does get credited with leading a lap now. And
for guys,
go ahead.
To say for guys like Stiers and Hosler and the 00 of Anthony, these guys are hoping that this race stays green so they can use that tire advantage. So as everyone else's tires are falling off, they can cut their way up through the field, and hopefully they left themselves enough time to get back up to the race lead. As here comes Stiers, overshoots a little bit, but is able to correct as the 00 comes back in, speeding on exit.
Oh, the heartbreak. As we are watching the battle between Duff, Brown, and Carey right now. As Jacob Grant takes the lead back over. Fast lap of the session so far, a 30.42, just set by Josh Lilly in the 48.
Flying right now, running in 12th at the moment. Remember, he had that little bit of a setback sliding through the infield grass early on in this green flag run, so he fell well back as Duff and Nathan Brown still not willing to give it up.
They are at that. They're still side by side.
Oh, wow.
That could have gotten ugly.
As close as you could have gotten without hitting each other.
Not a mark on either one of those trucks right now.
Unless you want to count the scheme for Duff as being a mark. You're right.
Shots fired.
Nathan Brown also doing all this with his rear, the back bumper caved in as well.
I just noticed that. He's caught the chrome horn from somebody.
Yeah. We all know of that aerodynamic telephone pole these guys back into every now and again.
As we check back in the mid-pack, Joey Stiers and Scott Winsett going after each other. As now Stiers works on Tuck.
Stiers going to be absolutely flying right now on these new tires, running in 15th position, so he has to make up 28 seconds over the next 40 some odd laps here if he wants a chance at winning this thing, or hope that the guys in front of him have to come into pit, which it looks like a guy like Jacob Grant, Austin Carey, Darren Staff, those guys will have to come in again. Everyone else, though, is going to be really close.
They absolutely are. I think the guy that's in the best position right now is Lane Hosler, currently sitting in 7th. No real pressure around the 61, but he was the last one to come down pit road on lap 76.
So Hosler certainly in a good position. Now he only has to make up 14 seconds compared to the 28 and a half that Stiers has to make up.
Little Ford on Chevy battle back with Joey Stiers and Kevin Hayes. They were side by side coming down the backstretch, and Stiers into the wall coming into the trial.
Stiers rubbing that wall.
Cheese grated the both sides of that truck now.
Well, the left was from the 18 earlier on, but
Yeah, he's definitely got some marks on it.
close battling here all throughout this field. Chris Smith not that far away from Josh Lilly and Ry Lewis behind him. Three-way battle for the 9th position.
Absolutely. As Josh Lilly is in a Toyota sandwich right now, but not for long as he throws it to the inside of Smith coming down the back chute.
Much of a battle.
Yeah, there was not even trying to defend that one. As Smith, the oldest set of the tires out of those three, as Lewis makes it look just that easy. Battle for the lead, hot and heavy now, as here comes Higginbottom on Grant.
Yeah, but Higginbottom knows he's got fuel and tire to burn a little bit on Jacob Grant. Grant, I don't think, is going to be able to save, 9 or so laps of fuel in order to go the distance. That's a tall order.
That's a big ask. As the 38, I don't have my glasses on. Why me?
That's Greg Barnett
Thank
running
you.
in 19th position.
So
Barnett
right now
trying to
in the
get his
free
lap
pass
back.
position.
20 lap better tires than Grant, 10 lap better than Higginbottom, as Grant comes back down pit road. So Grant knew he couldn't make it, so he's going to come in, pit now, bite the bullet now, and just try to make up ground.
As we are inside 40 to go, as battle's starting to really heat up for 12th between Stiers and Parker Collins. Those two guys have not gotten away from each other since qualifying.
As I said last night during the Case Cracker 200, it's like Gordon and Boyer back in 2012 at Phoenix, that they had that incident there, and then the next weekend at Homestead, they were right next to each other all race.
Isn't that the race where Phoenix, wasn't it the race that Boyer threatened to pull Gordon's tonsils out through the back of his head?
Yes, it was.
Thought so.
And then Gordon won Gordon won his one and only race at Homestead the next week.
Yes, he did. As the field getting a little bit strung out now, as Stiers now closes in on Smith. Again, Smith with some of the oldest tires on track right now. Stiers was last down on lap 77, so big advantage right there as you see just how well Stiers can get that truck rotated. And here comes Collins on the back of Smith, looking to follow Stiers through. Smith not putting up a big fight right now, gives plenty of room to his fellow Toyota driver.
Smith might be in fuel conservation mode. He came into pit back on lap 56, and 4 laps of fuel saving. It's a lot easier of a manage than 9. So he might be trying to save fuel. The problem is you can't fall and take yourself out of position, as Adam Duff getting passed up by Lane Hosler for 4th.
Hosler and Duff drag race down the back straightaway here, and they've got to be careful because that is the 45, Jacob Grant, trying to get back on the lead lap. And Grant does have fresh shoes.
Good news for Grant is that they're only about 8.5 seconds off the race leader, Jason Higginbottom. Dylan Grimm 1.5 seconds behind the 44. Nathan Brown 3.5 behind Grimm. Then it's Hosler in the 61, 2.5 behind Brown. And now starting to run away from Adam Duff, who's already 3/4 of a second off. Dylan Sykes comes back down pit road again.
As we are watching the battle for 7th between Josh Lilly and Rye Lewis, those two just going after each other.
22 of Austin Carey has gotten around both of those guys. We saw him in the background of these two battling earlier on. He's now gotten ahead of them.
He has that and is starting to stretch a little bit on them as they all had to work around the 94 of Fred Garcia. Right now, though, Carey, Lilly, and Lewis throw a blanket over the 3 of them, as that is 5th through 7th. Or sorry, 6th through 8th.
Kenneth Pack trying to defend against Casey Powell. Casey Powell coming into pit road.
There goes Lilly around the inside of the 22, and here comes Rye Lewis, Toyota and Toyota Crime, down the back straightaway.
A little bit too much of a push maybe for Austin Carey. Gotten right back, passed right back up.
He sent it going into 1, and that really cost him some time.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where you have to run it like a road course, easy in, fast off, especially down here in turns 1 and 2. It's ultra important down at the 1 and 2 end of this track. It's important down in 3 and 4 as well, so you don't run into that wall out of 4, which comes up at you very quickly. But down in 1 and 2, you're carrying so much more speed than you are down the backstretch. It's a wider arc of an entry, and that turn is deceptively long.
Visit that, as we are actually going to go on board with Rye Lewis. As there it is. This is what Lewis is seeing out the front of his truck.
doesn't have to get off the throttle too much here, and he can kind of push it. There's that bump I referenced in qualifying that we just saw him go over. But unless he's using brake, he's going to let off really early for 1 and 2 here. He's braking.
He is definitely using the brake. Let's see if we can see those rotors glow. Keep your eye on the center of the hub there. And you can see a little bit more shine start to appear on corner entry. He is definitely using some brake to get that truck to rotate.
3 and 4, you don't need to use the brake because, again, you're not carrying as much speed. But down here at 1 and 2, that blue Rackley sign going into turn 1, that's typically your let-off point for turn 1 to get it down to the bottom, unless you're using the brake, and then it's the ally sign where you got to start braking.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And as here comes Stiers to the inside of Carey. Stiers on a tear right now.
Stiers working his way back forward again. He's one of the guys that decided to come in late and try to make up ground. Same thing with Lane Hostler. He's made up a good 12 seconds on Lane Hostler.
And there's Hostler currently running in 4th.
Yeah, then again, Hostler's saving the tires a little bit more than Stiers is.
He is at that. Hostler might be saving tires, but he's still reeling in Nate Brown.
Saw how hard Brown was racing earlier on as well. So Hostler very content with allowing the race to come to him.
Justin Harrell getting blinking.
16 of Harrell getting lapped in that John Deere Ford F-150.
Ry Lewis and Josh Lilly have been right around each other since that first caution came out. And it would be a feather in Lewis's cap if he could beat the defending series champion here at Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Stiers, he might get passed up now, but Stiers might end up falling off. Ry Lewis came into pit on 74, Stiers on 77. So if he's catching up quite a significant rate,
Stiers is actually, well, no, now Stiers is diving it in deeper going into 3. He's diving it in a ton deeper.
Yeah, he's taking more brake, trying to get the hot entry.
And he's losing it on corner exit because just like that, Lilly and Lewis stretch that lead back out. So from center off, the advantage right now is with Josh Lilly and Ry Lewis.
Nathan Brown about to be the next victim of Lane Hostler.
Well, I'm thinking about it.
These two are only 4 seconds off of Higginbottom, who is now in heavy traffic. The 00 of Anthony in there. 59 of Staff, the 72 of Wyson. Wyson and Staff are racing each other for position for 17th. In front of Higginbottom.
Well, you know what? We are going to go on board with your points leader, as this is exactly what Jason Higginbottom is seeing out of his windshield, as we do have a GoPro on his helmet.
Trying to roll that truck as much as he can. Dylan Grimm has closed the gap to within a second now. But again, the traffic that Higginbottom is going through right now is sitting right in front of Grimm. He's just getting to it as Higginbottom going all the way down to the bottom to try to get away from these guys. 3 wide, almost hits the side of Staff.
Good grief.
But
and
now
we were on board with Higginbottom for that pass.
But Higginbottom now is free and clear. Meanwhile, Dylan Grimm has to get through them.
And you see Grimm caught on the top side as the 35 of Tiffany working his inside right now. And, oh, brother, hang on to it.
While that's happening, Lane Hostler's just passed Nathan Brown behind. They're only about 2 seconds off of Dylan Grimm right now, and Grimm is going to fall right back to those two.
He is at that as he's caught in heavy traffic as Rye Lewis pulls alongside of Josh Lilly for 6th.
Dylan Grimm was pushing that 72 of Weiss down the back straightaway, trying to get him to go.
Well, now Grimm does have an opening. That's only the 59 of Staff in front of him. And you know he would love to open up that gap on Hosler, as Hosler is going to be the next one to have to battle with all those lap trucks.
Also doing a very good job of catching this group, and that group is starting to thin out a little bit. The battling isn't as tough. Boy, he's got to break into the group now with Weissett and the 35 of Tiffany battling
3
side
wide
by side. He's going to force the issue.
3 Fords going side by side. What could possibly go wrong?
Got around it.
He made it happen.
The 69 of Brown did not. He didn't get any of them on that move.
Brown got caught. Brown got caught on corner exit, and he now is falling back off of Hosler as Hosler works his way around the 00 and sets his sights on trying to reel in Dylan Grimm.
Higginbottom starting to re-establish that gap. It's back up over at second and a quarter, I should say, over Dylan Grimm. Hosler still has 1 car between himself and Dylan Grimm.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Is a little bit further back. Jacob Grant trying to get around Kenneth Pack, and does. Pack and Hayes going at it for 13th, pardon me. Josh Lilly trying to defend from Joey Stiers up in 7th.
And you know the old man would love to school the kid.
Absolutely. Stiers hard into the fence out of 2.
Well, that's not going to work. Oops.
He thought he had a lot more room on the outside than he actually did.
It looked like he got caught in the arrow push.
That might have been it.
Closest battle on track right now is back here with Tiffany and Weissett. As Weissett gets a good run coming off of 2, he's going to dive it going into 3, it looks like. As Tiffany slams the door, Weissett has to back out of it.
Dylan Grimm starting to fall right into the clutches of Lane Hosler. Hosler's got about 10 laps to pass 2 trucks and make up a second, as he has left Nathan Brown.
Flat checked out as Brown is now just over 2 seconds to the arrears of that battle for second. And Higginbottom's lead is now down to 3/4 of a second. There you see Higginbottom, and there's Grimm and Hosler. And there's Brown.
Top 3 in your picture, covered by a second. There's Joey Stiers. That hit on the wall has cost him dearly, because he's just lost a spot to Stephen Tuck in the 10.
And you can see that rear axle is skewed in Stiers' truck right now.
Stiers is no longer looking forward. He's looking backwards, and in about 1 3/4 seconds is Austin Carey. 10 to go.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Grimm, all sorts of... as Hosler gets it sideways coming into 1.
Big moment there for Hosler. One that might cost him the race. Higginbottom in a position where he's just got to set the pace right now. He's the leader. He's the one in control. Just run your race.
3 Toyotas, 1 Chevy, and 1 Ford in your top 5 right now. And 2 Toyotas on the podium.
Higginbottom running a very, very good race right now. Fastest of the top 3. fastest of all in the top 10, as a matter of fact, that last circulation around the track.
He wasn't that. The only one to still go, one of only 2 drivers still sub-32s, and has now make that 4 drivers. And there's your top 4 starting to pick the pace up. With 7 to go, it'll be 6 at the stripe.
Hosler fastest on that lap by a full 10th over Higginbottom. Higginbottom starting to run away from Grimm now.
There's that gap now just back over a second. And there you see Grimm, and there you see Hosler. As Hosler is really starting to reel him in.
Hosler fastest again of the top 3 by a full 10th. Hosler, Higginbottom, Grimm. The
Oh,
3
man, we're
fastest.
going into overtime.
As the caution comes out.
I don't have
Oh,
it.
that is not what
I don't
these
have
guys
it.
wanted to. I don't either. Caution. Last thing these guys wanted to see.
I don't have it.
I don't either. There's some damage on the 18 of Parker Collins, but that could just as easily be him
That's
making
from
contact
earlier.
with the wall. Yeah.
Checking
sure.
back through the field, trying to see if we can find it, folks. I do apologize, but it didn't register on our timing and scoring. Let's see what we got here.
I don't see anyone with damage. I don't see anyone uniquely slow. As everyone coming down pit road, Higginbottom in, Grimm in, Hosler in. These guys are all coming down to pit. Stephen Tuck, the only one deciding not to. Nathan Brown will be your race leader. He has not decided to pit either.
And Brown knows just how important clean air is. But I'll tell you right now, he's not making any friends in the 14 camp.
With about
Chris Smith is
I
looking to
don't
get a lap back there.
I don't know how wise this is with how few.
I'm gonna say not. Brown and Tuck, the only 2 that stayed out.
Brian Tiffany may have stayed out as well.
And Dylan Grimm took 2. Everybody else took 4 behind him.
That's exactly what we were talking about earlier on in the race.
You know, from the looks of it, Parker Collins may have had the... Oh, there it was. The 72 was a 3 wide. Let's watch that again. Watch the
Oh,
72
there
on the
you go.
low side. They go 3 wide. He comes back up, catches the 59, and just noses it into the wall.
So that would have been it. Again, not a caution that Higginbottom or especially Lane Hosler wanted to see.
Definitely not.
So it will be a green-white checkered. Now, whether it's a natural green-white checkered or a
It would have to happen.
overtime.
It would have to
an
go
overtime
lights out
green-white
this
checkered,
next time by.
which I think it might.
Nate Brown, Stephen Tuck, Dylan Grimm, Jason Higginbottom, Lane Hosler, Adam Duff, Josh Lilly, Joey Stiers, Rye Lewis, and Jacob Grant rounding out your top 10, with Brown and Tuck being that last down pit road on lap 70 and 74 respectively. Dylan Grimm only took 2 under this caution. Jason Higginbottom and everybody behind him all took 4.
I think we are going to go our first official run at a green-white checkered here because we're about to start lap 119.
Yeah, we are going
Right
into overtime.
now. So this will be the only attempt at a green-white checkered finish by a lap.
We are going to pan out and give you the best view of this melee that we can possibly see. Brown going to have the button. Stephen Tuck in the 10. Both those trucks are on old shoes. Dylan Grimm in the 7 took 2. So that truck should be a little bit freer from center off. And then Lane Hosler and everybody back from there all took 4.
Brown needs the restart of a lifetime, and he needs that 10 of Stephen Tuck to hold up the 44 as much as possible. Even moreover, the 7 needs to hold up the 61 as much as possible.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. But we're going to find out as the field works its way off of turn number 4. Pace car is in. Restart rule in effect. And Brown jumps the start.
Green flag, green flag.
Brown may have jumped the start a little bit, but Stephen Tuck got up and out of the way immediately.
He did
Put
it.
Adam Duff in third.
It did at that on those fresh shoes.
Yellow flag is out.
And we're back under caution.
Out. That's it. Race over. Jacob Grant around.
Let's take a look at what happened with Grant here. There you see him on the top lane as Rye Lewis just goes up and just hip check into the turn 2 wall. Oh my goodness.
That's Rye pushing really hard.
Yeah, keep
trying
watching.
to get as much time as he possibly can. And then, my goodness, the 9 gives him one heck of a shot.
There, so you see Jacob Grant here on the restart. Rye Lewis is pushing on Josh Lilly and then almost gets up into the 45. Lewis dives it in, gets into the 45, and then here comes Superman. Boom.
They haven't crossed the line. Wait a minute. They haven't crossed the line yet. Jason Higginbottom has disconnected. So is Jason Gratton, Casey Powell, Jacob Grant. I kind of figured, but Higginbottom cuts it off a lap early. We're taking the checkered flag now.
What on earth? So Nate Brown going to get scored with the victory. Dylan Grimm and Adam Duff as Josh Lilly giving his team owner some love there going into turn number 1.
He took the short track open lobby strategy, which is they're not going to make it back to white. We're staying out. And it worked for him. Unbelievable job from Nathan Brown.
What an amazing run that we saw all night long out of everybody.
I want to go back and see that restart again. Because Brown needed a great restart, and you said he may have gone a little early.
He went very early.
But the 10 left no help as he evaded immediately.
There you see the Geico restart zone. You saw how early Brown went. And yeah, the 10, he knew what was coming.
He spun it. It looks like from overhead. 1, he wasn't expecting him to go at that time. And 2, he may have spun the rears.
Well, let's go back and take a look.
Because he did not go at all. So he got caught off guard, and then by the time he realized what was happening, he was already gone.
So,
and I think for Higginbottom, he had blinked out. That might have been a net code. It says manually disconnected, but I'm not sure, because after the green flag comes out, he crosses the line and then he disappears, and I don't see him again.
Well, let's watch this again. There you see Brown. You see the back end of that truck has already squatted. So let me back this up just a tick. There goes the pace car. Okay. So follow along with me here, Frank. The pace car is just peeled off. It's not even. It's just off. It's just onto the apron. And what we're going to do is we are going to zoom in. Matter of fact, we are going to go on board. With Jason Higginbottom, with Nate Brown, and watch the tack, and holds it, and bang, there it goes. And he's at the Rackley roofing sign. He's not at the Geico restart zone.
Now there is a it's not automatic that the restart zone is what it is. You can turn that option off, and then the leader can go at his own discretion. But right now, I believe we are with him. And Nate, you pulled, as I had said, the official short track strategy of I'm not pitting, they're gonna wreck, and it worked out for you here.
Holy cow, I don't know how that worked out. Yeah, as far as the restart zone goes, we don't have one, so I definitely took advantage of that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get many opportunities to take advantage of that. So sorry to whoever was behind me, but it was either that or hold up the field and wreck everybody. So I took the easy way out and just praying that there was a caution. If that went another 100 yards, I think Dylan would have got me there. So that was the perfectly timed caution. I don't get much luck, it seems like, so I'll take luck this time.
None of us from Syracuse ever get any luck.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, back in 2003 we got some luck, but it's been a long time since then. So
yes, sir.
It certainly has. But tonight you had a very solid race. You came into pit early on lap 12. What was your comfort level at the end of that race, being able to get up there and be able to challenge at least for a podium spot with how the pit cycle worked itself out?
Well, I was going to be a fourth place truck at best. So when I pitted early on lap 12, it was kind of like a net neutral. I wasn't going to really come out really too far further. I just wanted to get to lead some laps, and I figured the second stint I'd get passed by Jason and Lane and a few others, which is what happened. But I'm never worried about taking tires in this league because I know that we get the long runs later. So I hate leaving a set of tires in the pits, and it's fun to race. So the first stage, though, that first stint, I was working hard to get through traffic, and I felt like I burned up my tires, which I didn't think was too possible here. And then when I came into pit, I had like 20 seconds of damage, and I think it was for my shifting. I think when I missed a shift, I must have tweaked something, so that was kind of hurting me in the second run too, because I felt like I was getting tighter than I was when I was doing my practices earlier. So yeah, it worked out though.
How difficult was it to get around guys here as the run went on? It looked pretty difficult. We saw guys getting in 4, 5, 6 laps, side-by-side battles, just trying to get position. How difficult was it to pass around here?
Well, I mean, guys like Lane and Jason had no problems doing it. But what I did when I just took 15 laps newer tires than them, and that's how I got by them. But I back.
That works.
I back up a corner pretty good, and then I would be able to get a good run off. That was kind of my way to pass cars, but the 15 lap tires helped a ton.
Now we go to a long flat track next week at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts going up into New England for round number 3 of the season?
Well, I like flat tracks, but I'm thinking I should just retire now that I got a win.
I did it. We're good.
It's never going to happen again. So, no, I like New Hampshire. I know my teammates are pretty good there, so I won't even be contending for a win. They'll be contending for a top 5 with them out on the track. Um, uh, I'm excited about it. I like it. Got some momentum going into that race now.
Absolutely, and a nice little win in your second race of the season. Anyone else you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a win here?
Yeah, you guys, and then all my Brownie Racing guys, Josh, Kevin, Evan, and Jeremy. I know a couple of them couldn't be here tonight, but we were thinking of them. And then, Fred for putting the league on. And then everybody else for kind of letting me win here. That was very nice of them. Oh, and then the guy who brought up the caution, Rye, he's my boy now. So I got you in the next fundraise. I'm sending you some cash over, bud.
And I do want to point out that the reason why Fred's not here tonight is he's still on his honeymoon, as he got married last week.
He was on the track. He was out there.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's good. Hope you guys are doing well.
So your race winner, Nathan Brown. Nate, congratulations, bud.
Thanks.
And that will bring up our third place finisher to speak with Tony right now. That would be Adam Duff.
Adam Duff, second week in a row. Second week.
You gotta go bring him in.
Oh.
I can't.
Sorry. Adam Duff, second week in a row, second race with the CleanRacing.net Truck Series, second podium finish. Talk us through your night.
The P22 start wasn't very good. I completely ruined my second lap in qualifying. But with the first caution that came out, it definitely helped me a lot because I gained basically 16 spots by staying out, and the tires weren't that bad, and I think a lot of people didn't take any. So really, I dropped about 10th. It's not that bad. It's a lot better than 22nd. And then through the second set of caution, or pit stops, I should say, I gained a bit because I had to undercut on the people that stayed out longer, and then I didn't lose that much because I kind of came out in front of a lot of traffic, and it really helped keep the cars behind me. So I think I had a pretty good fight at the end there. And of course, the finish, it hurts me. That could have been a second, if not a win, but you know, whatever. I'll take the podium. I can't complain about that. It's better than P5.
Absolutely, but we go into one of the more difficult tracks we're going to see early on in the season as we go to the flat track that is the Miracle Mile up in New Hampshire. Your thoughts going into that race next week?
Well, I'll still have to buy the track, so don't have much practice on it. But
Fair
I'm
enough.
not. Yeah. See, tracks like Gateway, it's not the same necessarily, but I do enjoy them. And obviously it's a lot more flat than Gateway, a little bit slower in the corners. But I think I won't do as well, but I don't think I'll be that bad.
Well,
We'll
I'll give
get
you the
some
hint
practice.
about Loudon. You want to be at least a car width and a half off of the apron.
Yeah, the banking on that track. See, I played it in other, I've used it in other games, but just never in iRacing. So I'm sure it's
Alright.
going to drive a little bit different.
All right, Adam, who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate your second consecutive podium?
Well, thank you guys for broadcasting it. It's a very good stream. I was listening during the race again. I like the comments that you make about the paint scheme. Thanks to Fred again, letting me join the league. It's very nice of him to let all the newer people in the league race whenever they please. It was a good race. I want to thank all the people on the track with me too. Everyone raced very clean. There's no contact. I had a 0x until there's a bit of a pile up about 10 feet in front of me, but we'll ignore that. It's no big deal. Thank you to, like I said, everyone in the league. It's a great league that I'm a part of. I'm very happy to be privileged enough to race in it. And hopefully we get some more podiums this season.
And hopefully your Flyers are going to do well this season, considering I just saw who your draft class was.
It was a pretty good one, I think.
Absolutely. But, Adam, we will see you next week at Loudon. Best of luck to you then.
Thank you very much.
So, Frank, we've got another one in the proverbial books as we bring up the finishing order now. Nate Brown coming home with the victory. Dylan Grimm hanging on for second. Your biggest mover, Adam Duff, plus 19, coming home in third. Lane Hosler, Joey Stiers rounding out your podium. Stephen Tuck, Josh Lilly, Rye Lewis, and Austin Carey, and Greg Barnett rounding out your top 10.
So that will put us at 11th position. That will be Kenneth Pack, Parker Collins, Kevin Hayes, Brian Tiffany rounding out the top 14 and the drivers to finish on the lead lap. Scott Weissent, Mike McRae, Jamie LaRoque finishing one lap down from 15th to 17th. Jacob Grant, Darren Staff, Daniel Sykes, Chris Smith, Dustin Harrell finishing 2 laps down from 18th to 22nd. 3 laps down would be Jason Higginbottom, John Anthony, Frederick Garcia from 23rd to 25th. 26th goes to Casey Powell, Kevin Becker, 47 laps down in 27th. Jeremy Moore qualified, did not qualify, and did not start tonight's race.
So that is going to do it for us from Nashville tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow morning at about 11:50 a.m. as we bring you the next round of the Night Shift Racing League as they go to Watkins Glen, for those that like a little Armco in their racing. And then we've got a triple header on store for you tomorrow with Night Shift Racing and then the premiere of the yeah, it is. Help me out, Frank. Not the Maestros. The Rick Mutech, sorry. I do apologize, brain fart. The Rick Mutech Cup Series. That'll be an 8:20 Eastern Time start for that one. And then the nightcap, as we always do on Tuesday nights, Western States Racing League as they go to the next round of Season 47. So for Mr. Frank Marchese, this is Tony Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life this week, don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week at Loudon.